Welcome, everybody, to It Tastes Different Game Reviews or News, excuse me. Alan Wake creators Remedy will be doing everyone a favor by making the game digitally only available and keeping the cost below $70. They plan on keeping the cost below $70 by keeping it digital, unless you're getting it on a PC, which is going to be $50 through the Epic Store. There's a lot of questions coming up to this article. Remedy Entertainment revealed that Alan Wake 2 will be digital only across all its platforms. They explained that there are many reasons for this. One, a large number of terrible article, by the way, have shifted to digital only. You can buy a Sony PlayStation 5 without a disc or the Series S digital only console. And the games are digital only through there. Remedy continues by saying that is not releasing a disc helps keep the price of the game at $60 on console and $50 on PC. There's question one. The studio didn't want to ship a disc and have it require a download for the game either, as it wouldn't be a great experience. And there are no plans currently for a physical edition. So let's jump into this. So they are doing us a favor by keeping it digital only, with a $10 price difference between the Epic Store version on PC and a console version. And they're doing it for us. So that's awesome, isn't it, guys? So let's go to Nick, because I know Nick is probably as big an Alan Wake fan as I am, probably maybe a hair more. So Nick, boo, Alan Wake.
All right. Well, I mean, yeah, I love Alan Wake and I love Remedy. But this is just stupid. I mean, the manufacturing and processing of those discs is probably handled by the publisher, I would assume, more than the developer. And being that developers, Remedy's the developer and Epic is the publisher would probably take, putting it out there to manufacture and to distribute, right? I mean, that would be the whole point of the publishers, to marketing, distribution, things of that nature. So it's not saving Remedy any money, right? I mean, maybe a little bit, because they probably had to pay Epic more to ship out copies and stuff, even though Epic's taking care of that. But still, though, I mean, two things, right? One is, like you said, question one is, why is the console version $10 more than the PC version? And Pat brought up a good point, and I'm sure he'll bring it up again, is that Epic is publishing it and it's only on the Epic Store. So that could be just like another incentive. And we talked about Epic before, trying to get people into their ecosystem, right? And this could be another incentive to bring people in. One, because it's only on Epic and it's $10 cheaper. Hey, look at that. You got a twofer going on there, right? So that could be the reason why that's that case there. But and also the other thing I wanted to put out is, are they trying to, and maybe not necessarily Remedy, maybe more Epic, I'm not sure, or maybe both. Are they trying to trying to start a trend of getting rid of the disc, right? Because ultimately, this is going to, because they can say it's $60 for console now and $50 for PC. But what's stopping that from becoming a trend, right? To where more big games come out digital only. And then a couple months later, they step the price up to $70 and give some sort of crap comment as the reason why, to justify that reason. And now the publisher, and the developer don't have to pay for shipping and distribution and manufacturing costs of those discs and cases and stuff. And now they save more money, and still the consumer gets screwed by still paying more money for, and let's all be honest here, for $70 games that have been the worst games imaginable coming out lately, especially, right? Again, the justification for a $70 game or for a high price game, if, did it go to 70 because shipping and manufacturing costs went higher? right? Is that the reason why it went to $70? Distribution costs were just higher, higher, $10 higher. So we had to push the cost down to the consumer. Or was it really just, again, the most typical reason is they just want more money from the consumer so they can raise the prices up, right? And getting rid of that distribution arm gives them more opportunity to keep more of the money and not have to pay that portion of it, right? And then give some sort of stupid reason as to why, we don't need to sell a disc to individuals, right? And make it sound good to the consumer, like, oh, don't worry, it's in your best interest. And you're like, oh, most consumers are gullible. And they're like, oh, well, that's great. Thanks, guys. But really, they're just saving money on their end and still fronting you the cost, right? So you're still paying the same. They're just saving more money. So really, even though it's $60 on the console and $50 on PC, you're still, yes, it's $10 less than you would normally at a $70 price game, but ultimately you're still paying the same price, right? The publisher and developer they're cutting that cost on their end. Whereas the game really, if they were saving you money, should be like, well, they should be the same price on both, but it should be like $50 on both console and PC, right? Not 60 on both, not 70 on both, but $50 on both, right? And that would be saving the consumer $10, and that would be saving them $10. But really, ultimately, the price still is coming down to you, even though technically you are only spending 60 instead of 70, but still, they're not losing it out, right? The manufacturer's not losing out, right? The publisher and developer is not losing out on anything. They're not doing it for your benefit. They're doing it for theirs. That's the main thing, right? And that could start a trend. I don't know what you guys think about that. Will that start a trend with newer games coming out where they do stop putting out a physical edition of it because they can cut those costs, right? What do you think, Pat?
I could see EA just jumping right into, we're going to stop doing physical discs and keep it at $70. Because that's just like EA. That's what they will do. And then everybody else will follow suit. Because EA is usually the first person to shit in the pool is what EA is, And then everybody's like, they didn't get too much of that on them. So I think we're going to do it too, So, and then that's just what happens. And I think that is very much. But can you imagine the disaster that's going to spell for certain enterprises like GameStop? Could you imagine walking into a Walmart or a Target or any department store and going back to the electronics aisle and seeing no games? It'd be so weird to see, But, I don't often set foot in a physical store anymore myself anyway, but I do buy physical disc for my PlayStation and Switch. I buy physical for both of those, and I don't buy digital. I buy digital for my Xbox just because of Game Share and all that kind of stuff, and Game Pass kind of make it a moot point anymore. But I'm with Nick. The price disparity on this one is, I'm pretty sure it's just Epic doing Epic deals. Epic is making deals with, they're like, we'll publish it for you, but you can't put it on Steam. And we will lower the price by $10, and that's just a ploy to get more people into their ecosystem because it's going to be really tempting to buy it on PC for me, than console. And I'm going to save $10, So, it's a really tempting deal to save $10. So, and I think Epic knows that, and Epic's going to be like, well, come on, we got you. Come on, we got you, so I think that's going to be it. But yeah, I think if this whole digital trend catches on, I don't think they're going to go back down to $60. I just think they're going to be like, nobody's buying physical anymore. We're wasting money manufacturing. They're going to put people out of jobs in the manufacturing side of things because those places that are manufacturing discs, what else are they printing discs for besides video games, right? Jewel cases. What are they printing those jewel cases for? The whole, what are they printing those for? Going to Blockbuster, going to Family Video, Walmart, So what are they doing with those? So you're going to upend an industry. I don't know how many physical versus digital is sold. I know digital overtook physical a few years ago on the number of copies sold, but it's still a substantial amount of money. But then you're going to upset like GameStop. Is GameStop going to go full into an apparel / gaming head shop, if you will. You know, I think it's going to be a gamer's head shop at that point because it's just going to be all Funko Pops and T-shirts and game-related stuff and no video games, except outside of maybe consoles. What is that going to look like, you know?
A bunch of old phones is what's going to be in there.
Right. Yeah, there's going to be consoles and refurb. It's going to be like they're going to become the DK oldies, you know? They're going to be in the retro store that has physical locations. They're going to be the vintage stock, the entertain marts, you know? But I don't think they can survive that because they got a lot of competition with other entertainment venues that do and stuff like that. But would that spell the end for these guys if we start seeing in a year all even AAA games are only coming out in digital? I think you're going to see GameStop slowly but surely decide to go the wayside because they just can't keep up. If they're not able to sell games and sell pre-orders and things like that, then what are they going to do? You know, so it'll be interesting. I mean, if they go this route, I'll be kind of mad at my PlayStation and Nintendo games because I can no longer go get physical copies of those. And then what does that spell for like collectors? Like I like my Steelbooks. I want Steelbooks. I grab Steelbooks when I can. You know, that market's gone. So I don't know. I find it rather intriguing, interesting. It'll be another one of those major shifts in the gaming industry. You know, one of those things that once was is now gone. You know, once was the video game console rentals of like Blockbuster. I remember going to Blockbuster when I was a kid, and you could rent a console. You know, and then you could rent games with that console, and that, you know, you played that all weekend long because you couldn't afford to buy a console. You know, when we were kids, our parents couldn't afford to buy a PlayStation or an Xbox. You know, so we'd go to Best Buy and rent one. You know, and stuff like that. So, you know, it'll just be like that. It'll be another upheaval in the industry. And, you know, digital was a big thing. People were afraid of digital for a long time, and now it's going to go strict digital. And so what does that mean for the retro market, right? Because somebody has to host these games, right? And nobody wants to host these indefinitely, right? So stuff that came out 10 years ago, you know, you can still buy physical. So when they're no longer hosting this stuff, you can still buy physical copies of these things. Now, are they playable? Probably not, because they had day one patches and garbage and junk like that. But maybe somebody saved that stuff off somewhere. Who knows? But at least you can get a hold of base code and stuff like that. So, but think of like now going forward, and we get into 20 years from now, and the retro thing has died off because you can't get a hold of games that were 20 years ago because the originator of that game closed studios down or sold, or whoever was hosting their game, Steam or Epic, decided, I don't want to host this on my site anymore. It's taking up too much space and people don't play it that much. So we're going to get rid of it. So the preservation of, you know, retro gaming, the preservation of games is going to go away. I don't see anything because nobody's going to store something indefinitely. It's not feasible, not possible. In today's technology, there's just not enough storage to do all this and keep doing it, especially for a singular entity. Unless you're the government of something, you know, but as like a industry company, you're not storing something indefinitely. Nobody out there is going to be storing Halo indefinitely, you know, or anything. You know, Alan Wake 2. How long do you think it's going to be before you can't get a hold of that game anymore? 20 years? 30 years? 10? 15? Like when are you going to go to, when you buy this and you buy it on Epic, in 10 years, 20 years, are you going to be able to still download it? We've seen plenty of times where games have been removed from storefronts along with their DLCs, or just their DLCs. That's another point. You know, the DLCs are usually the first to go. The base game stays, but the DLC goes. And if you buy this $80 digital deluxe version and you lose all your expansion pass and base games and all that kind of crap, it wasn't worth the money, right? So to me, there's pros and cons about everything of this, you know, and I don't know where I stand on one side or the other. Game preservation is a big deal, but I will be honest with you, it's not as huge of a deal to me as it is like Nick and Shane. They play way more retro and old stuff than I do, but maybe when I'm 60, I'll be pining for that stuff that was 20 years ago or that's today, right? You know, I'll be pining and want to play that when I'm sitting in my rocking chair going, man, I wish I could play some Alan Wake 2, and it's gone, what's going to happen?
Well, unfortunately, this is going to be a trend. I mean, the digital trend's been going on for, this full generation plus 3/4 of the last generation. The 360, you could download your disc to your hard drive and then play from there. You just use the disc as basically a key. And now it's just everything's digital. You're not going to get anything. But that $10 thing, that's different. So it's just a load of shit. I mean, if you buy a digital version of a game, $10 to $20 cheaper minimum than going out and buying the physical copy. I mean, that's how much you're saving, them. I didn't have to pay them to print a paper cover in a plastic box and print a disc and, stamp the digital code onto it. I mean, I didn't have to pay for them for that. So I should get $10 to $20 off my games. And you're right. They're going to end up going full digital, and then they're going to raise it to 70, and then they're going to raise it to 80, and then they're going to go bankrupt, and then all our games are gone. Plain and simple. That's what worries me about digital. Pat, you buy everything digital on Microsoft, on Xbox. Microsoft's kicking themselves in a sack right now, and they're having a lot of hard problems. If Microsoft goes down, what happens to my games? I think it should be a law. They need to provide me disc backups, or they need to pay me for the games that I will no longer be able to access. So, and obviously Microsoft ain't giving you a big enough hard drive to store everything. So
what this article is telling me is that PC gamers have been paying the price for console gaming for years, because I think the last I heard, PC games don't typically come out on discs, and discs make up less than 2% of all PC games sold. Mm-hmm. So PC gamers have been paying the price for all these console gamers because they got to print discs for these games. And it's way cheaper to make a game on PC is what this is telling everybody. And if anybody else goes all digital, I expect a $50 PC game, not a 70.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a ridiculous cost. It's a ridiculous price difference between the two. Maybe the consoles are charging a fee to be put onto their console. I mean, Sony does that. We know that for sure. Sony does have those fees and things. Microsoft probably does too. So, I don't know.
I don't think there's any fees because they usually.
Oh yeah, Microsoft charges fees to have stuff on their consoles.
I mean, if the third party wants to, but if you want to take one, Microsoft never publishes something that's not on PC. So we can just throw that out the window. Sony does not charge anybody to put their stuff on PC. They pay a developer to develop it, and then they make the money.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're not paying anybody to put their stuff on console on a PC.
No, Sony charges to have have your stuff on their consoles is what I was saying.
Yeah, I think they all charge like 30% or whatever.
Yeah, that's why I think there might be a price difference. So,
well, not on their console. Like Sony can't tell you that you can't develop a game for it. But if you want to be on their storefront, then you have to pay them.
You got to pay. Yeah.
And Sony's storefront is the only place to buy digital games for PlayStation. So it's
Sony
a moot point at that one.
For that one.
But Microsoft, their PC games, for example, you can get them on Steam. You can get them anywhere you want, but they do the same thing. I don't think on the Microsoft Game Pass thing for PC, I don't think there's other developer games on there. I have to look, but there may be a few. I think I actually have seen a few other ones on that little Xbox app for my PC that I download games. I've seen stuff that's not theirs, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, there's stuff that's not theirs.
Yeah.
So they probably charge a fee to get onto that storefront if they want to, which is typically 30% of sales, from what I understand. I'm sure that's the standard. That's what Steam charges. That's what Sony charges. That's what everybody charges. I think Epic may have a little different schema. I think theirs is like something like a 17% or something, or 12%. I think theirs was much lower, but I think that was only for indie developers too, though. whereas Steam charges standard for Epic.
I think we had a conversation about this a while
Yeah.
back about their prices. So
Yeah, and I think
But,
Steam
you
still
know,
charges 30%.
either
so.
way, this is a load of crap. The pricing, the price gouging of games lately has just been ridiculous. Everybody is going up to $70. Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom is the first Nintendo game to hit $70. Nintendo's usually been the good one about their price, so now they're in the market to screw you too. I love the game, but it's not worth $70. It's not a $70 game. No game is a $70 game yet, because there's going to be DLCs, that are already built into the game, but you got to pay to unlock. So I don't know. It's a load of poop. I love Alan Wake though. I'm super excited for 2. I just do not like what they're doing with it when it comes to this whole pricing thing and digital only. And I'm okay with digital only because I'll pick it up on Xbox. So even though it's $10 freaking more. So, you guys got anything else for, we have to shine a light on Alan Wake. All right. And if you know Alan Wake, you get the reference. So thank you for listening all the way to the end. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down there and tell your friends to come over and hit that subscribe button too. You can all hit it together and be buddies. You can be subscriber buddies. And don't forget to hit the notifications and give us your feedback. What do you think about this trend that's going to bring the death to the box of video games? I mean, that's what's happening. So what do you think? Are you all for it? I like my discs. But I buy digital pretty much all the time on Xbox, just like Pat. So what do you think? Let us know. And until next time, see ya.